Good day, students. So we are again in our practical research 2 in second quarter. So we are now in plans data analysis using statistics and hypothesis testing. Okay, so in our previous module we discussed about how to gather data. Now we already gathered data, so now it's ready for analyzing it using statistics. Okay, so in this module we will have this competency, plans data analysis using statistics and hypothesis testing if applicable. Okay, so here, so you will now use your knowledge in your grade 11 statistics and probability. So you will use also softwares like JAS and SPSS, and you can also use Microsoft Excel for the tabulation of your data. Okay, so to make it more easier for you to manage your data. Okay. Okay, so you have learned in your previous module the techniques and practical procedures in data collection. The procedure that you employed in collecting your data might be a survey over phone, face-to-face, or probably you let the participants answer a series of multiple type of questions through a paper, pencil, or online. So today, because of this pandemic, so we'll use online surveys so that you can avoid the COVID-19 virus. Okay, this data that you have is collected should be utilized and presented systematically and comprehensively. So this module will essentially help you plan data analysis using statistics and hypothesis testing. So it will help you reflect how the data that you have collected will be systematically and correctly analyzed. Analysis planning can be an invaluable investment of time, can help you select the most appropriate research statistics tools, and even research methods. Okay, so here, let's have some warm-up activities. Okay, so let's try this. Arrange the scrambled words enclosed in a circle to form a sound sentence. Write your answer on the space provided below the cycle. Okay, so number 1, what do you think is the answer? Okay, so the correct answer is recall the research questions. Okay, I hope you got the correct answer. Okay, number 2. Okay, what do you think is the answer? Okay, the answer is determine the level of measurement of the variables. Okay, let's proceed to number 3. So very simple. Okay, correct answer is check the dataset distributions. Okay, so I hope you get all the correct arrangement of the sentences. So this sentences is used in our topic, this module today. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, plan data analysis using statistics and hypothesis testing. Okay, the data you have collected form an essential part in your study. Regardless of the study design, data collection procedure, our researcher needs to summarize and reflect the collected data for interpretation and presentation to others. So even before the researcher collected the data, he or she must have a clear plan on what particular statistics he or she is used in summarizing and in describing the collected data. To plan the data analysis using statistics, recall your research questions, identify the variables, and check dataset distribution. Okay, so hope you recall in your statement of problem and your research questions. So you have there 2 types of research questions. You have the descriptive and the inferential. Okay, so in your inferential, so as we discussed in our previous modules, so it will guide you on what statistical tool will you use. It will be about statistical test of relationship, difference. Okay, so we will have a separate discussion on how to compute on that in succeeding modules. Okay. Okay, so let's recall your research questions. Recall module 11 in presenting a written statement of problem and the statement. Okay, and research questions. So we have here two types, descriptive or inferential. Now, descriptive statistics frequently use the following measures. We have the central tendency. So using the mean or the median to locate the center of the data set. Okay, so I think you're familiar with this because it's been discussed in your I think grade 8 and grade 10 mathematics. Okay, another also is, so we'll use the measures of dispersion or the spread of the data, okay, from the mean. I will use here commonly the standard deviation or the SD. Okay, so a low dispersion indicates that the values cluster more tightly around the center. Higher dispersion signifies that the data points fall further away from the center. Okay, so we can also graph the frequency distribution. Okay, so I think you recall this also in your grade 11 statistics and probability. So how to compute the standard deviation. Okay, or you can also use the softwares. So it can aid you in computation. Okay, or you can use the Excel so to speed up your computation. Okay. So in our succeeding discussion, so I will discuss that, how to solve it. Okay, so let us learn examples below of common descriptive and inferential statistics. So example, descriptive mean. So here are the your research questions. So example, we have here, what is the level of social media engagement of grade 11 students and grade 12 in Mundano National High School? Then number 2, what is the level of COVID-19 awareness of senior high school students before and after the campaign? And number 3, what is the level of health practices of senior high school, ABM, STEM, and UB students in DCQK National High School? Okay, so when we talk about the level, so commonly it uses the mean. Okay, take note of this. So the mean. So we'll answer these questions here. So you need to compute. I think you know already how to compute the mean. So just get the sum of your responses, then divide it by the number of items. Okay. Then we have here another descriptive frequency. Example, how many COVID-19 survivors from March to August were recorded by DDOH? And number 5, what is the demographic profile of the respondents in terms of sex and grade level? So here you can use frequency distribution table, or you can use graphs. So you can use example pie graph, okay, bar graph, etc. So to show the data. Okay. Okay, so let's go now to inferential statistics. So inferential statistics takes data from a sample and makes inferences about the larger population from which the samples was drawn. Inferential statistics are used to test hypotheses. Okay, so recall module 14 in hypothesis testing. So check the data distribution. So cautiously before using any inferential statistics, you need to check the nature of your data set. Determine several assumptions used to decide whether you are going to use parametric or non-parametric tests. So parametric tests rest on a number of assumptions including normality of the distribution and homogeneity of the variance. Okay, so on the other hand, non-parametric tests not rely on any distribution. They can be applied even if parametric conditions are not met. So to find out whether your data follows normal distribution, check the value of the kurtosis, or the measure of the heaviness of the tail of the distribution, and skewness, so lack of evenness of the distribution. So the closer their value to 0 is the more the data reach the normal distribution. So you can recall this in your statistics and probability in grade 11. So you learn to compute the z-scores, standard scores. Okay, so you recall that. Okay, so but in this module, so we will assume we'll use the parametric test. Okay, so the following are some of the common differential statistics used to test the difference and relationship. Okay, here are the guide on what is the appropriate statistical tools will you use in your study. Okay, example we have here. So your purpose is to test the difference between data sets from two different groups. So take note, two different groups. So example, male and female, grade 11 and grade 12, parental group and control group, STEM and HUMS. So here you have your independent variable is your data here is the grouping or categorical variable. Okay, while your DB, your data set here is continuous. Okay, so when talk about continuous, it's about your Likert scale, example, yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay, so take note of that. So in parametric, you will use the t-test for independent samples. Okay, so you're going to get the difference of this. Then, non-parametric, we have the Mann-Whitney U-test. Okay, so take note of that. So t-test for independent samples. Then another, so t-test, to test the difference between data sets from 3 or more different groups. Okay, so grade 10, 11, 12, STEM. So you will use here this, your data set here is, so your independent variable is grouping or group, while your DB here is continuous data. So what will you use? You will use the analysis of variance or the ANOVA. Okay, while in non-parametric, you will use the Kruskal-Wallis test. Okay, so we will have a thorough discussion of this in our succeeding modules. Okay, then next, to test the difference between data sets from one group. So pre-test and post-test, before and after. So here, take note, our IB here is still grouping or categorical data. Our DB here is continuous data. So we'll use here t-test for dependent samples or paired sample t-tests. Okay, so take note of that. Then in non-parametric, you will use the Wilcoxon signed rank test. Okay, then lastly, this is very common. So test the relationship between two variables. So independent variable is continuous, then DB is continuous, so you will use the person R for parametric. And non-parametric, you have the Spearman-Rowe. So I think you're familiar with this in your grade 11. You already compute this manually using the formula. I think you remember that. Okay. Okay, next we have here. So let us try to dissect the sample SOPs reflected below. Assume that all data sets fulfill assumptions of parametric test. Okay, take note. So in this module, we just use the parametric test. Okay. Okay, so let's have here. So number 7, is there a significant difference in the level of social media engagement of grade 11 and 12 students in Mundano National High School? Okay, first identify what is your IB and DB. Okay, your IB and DB here is, so your IB here is the grade 11 and grade 12, which is a group or categorical data. Okay, while your dependent variable here is the level of social media engagement. So you will use here the continuous data set. Okay, so this is the conceptual framework. So take note, so the question is significant difference. Okay, so based from the above guide here, so we are comparing two different groups because we are using we are dealing with grade 11 and grade 12. Okay, so what do you think is the statistical tool for this study? Okay, so let's identify one by one. So here, what is the statistical significance being asked? So significant difference. Letter B, so how many groups? So we have two groups. Letter C, are they the same or different? So different, because they are grade 11 and grade 12. D, nature of the dependent variable, so group. So dependent variable is continuous. So the answer here is, so we will use the t-test for independent samples. Okay, so I hope you learn how to identify. So based on these elements here. Okay. Okay, number 8. Is there a significant difference in the level of COVID-19 awareness of senior high school students before and after the campaign? Okay, our independent variable here is the before and after of the intervention. Okay, then your dependent variable here is the COVID-19 awareness. Okay, so let's summarize here so have here so from this data, so let's summarize. So what is the statistical significance being asked? So still significant difference. So how many groups? So we have two groups. Are they the same or different? So they are still the same. Okay, so they are the same group because they are before and after. Okay. Then the nature of the dependent variable, that is group, dependent is continuous. So the answer is t-test for dependent samples. Okay, so take note of the difference of the two t-tests. So when you're dealing with different samples, you will use the t-test for independent samples. So if you're dealing with the same group, okay, so you will use the t-test for dependent samples. Okay, next. Number 9, is there a significant difference in the level of COVID-19 health practices of senior high school ABM, STEM, and UM students in the CQK National High School? So our IB here, independent variable, is the strand. So we have here the three groups, ABM, STEM, and UMS. And our dependent variable is COVID-19 health practices. Okay, so let's summarize the data. So what is the statistical difference being asked? Is significant difference. How many groups are there? We have 3 because of these 3 tracks, ABM, STEM, and UMS. And letter C, are they the same or different? So they are different. Okay, so they have coming from different tracks. Then, what type of data are we dealing? So IB here is group, DB is continuous. So our answer is, we will use the one-way analysis of variance or one-way ANOVA. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Next, number 10, is there a significant relationship between the awareness and health practices of students on COVID-19? So take note, we are now in relationship. Okay, so let's summarize the data here. So what is statistical significance being asked? Significant relationship. So nature of dependent variable, it is continuous. Dependent variable is continuous. So the answer is, we'll use the Pearson R, or Pearson product moment of correlation. Okay. Next. Okay, so I think you're familiar already with the how to identify on what type of statistical analysis will you use in your data. So I hope you already plan and learn how to use statistical softwares that will aid you in your computation. So in your previous video, I encourage you to download the JAS software because it is free. Okay, so but if you have SPSS, you can still use that, or you can use also the Microsoft Excel for your summary of your data, especially if your data is descriptive. Okay, let's do it here now. Okay, we have here now, so instruction below are samples of statement or problems. You're going to identify the appropriate descriptive and inferential statistics to answer the questions. So assuming that all data sets fulfill all assumptions of parametric tests. So write your answer in the space provided below the statement. Okay, we have here. Okay, number 1, is there a significant relationship between English grades and immersion grades? Okay, so what do you think? So what statistical tools will you use here? Okay, what's your answer? Okay, we'll use here the Pearson product or Pearson R. Okay, number 1 because it deals with significant relationship. Okay, number 2. What is the level of environmental awareness of junior high school students in MKN National High School? So what statistical tool will you use? Okay, correct. It is the mean. Okay, so because we're only dealing with the level. Okay. Third, is there a significant difference in the level of health practices of COVID-19 before and after the campaign was conducted? Okay, so do you have your answer now? Okay, the correct answer is we'll use the t-test for dependent samples. Okay, why? Because your clue here is before and after, so it's still the same group. Okay, next, number 4. Is there a significant difference in the level of COVID-19 awareness when analyzed according to sex, male and female? Okay, take note, this is coming from 2 different groups. Okay, correct answer is we'll use the t-test for independent samples. Okay. Okay, next, number 5. What is the demographic profile of the respondents in terms of track and strand? Okay, correct answer is we'll use only the frequency distribution. Okay, so I hope you got all the uh, answers in our exercise. Okay, then let's remember this. So number 1, recall your research questions. Number 2, identify the level of measurement of your variables. Then 3, check the distribution of the data set. Okay, so this is very important in planning for your data analysis. Okay, so I hope it's clear to you. Okay, let's test ourselves. So below are examples of statement of problems. You're going to identify the appropriate descriptive and inferential statistics to answer the questions. Again, assuming all data sets used fulfill the assumptions of a parametric test. So write your answer in the space provided below the statement. So just like in our exercise earlier, so identify what is the statistical tools we're going to use here. Okay, are you ready? Okay, number 1, what is the level of online learning readiness of junior high school students in MKN National High School? Okay, so the answer here is we use the mean. Okay, correct. Okay, number 2, is there a significant difference in the level of online learning readiness between STEM and UM students in MKA National High School? Okay, the correct answer here is we'll use the t-test for independent samples. Okay, because again, there's 2 different groups. Okay, STEM and UMS. Okay, next, number 3. How many senior students prepared online learning, modular learning, blended learning as learning modality in the new normal? Okay, the correct answer there is we'll use only the frequency distribution. Okay, because we want to know the number of students who prepare the different learning modalities. Okay. Okay, number 4. Is there a significant relationship between study hours and academic performance of senior high school students in MKN National High School? Okay, correct answer there is we'll use the Pearson R. Okay. Okay, last, number 5. Is there a significant difference in the level of self-esteem among grade 10, 11, and 12 students and MKN National High School? Okay, the correct answer here is we'll use the one-way analysis of variance. Okay, so I hope you got all the correct answer. So again, if you have questions and clarifications, so you can PM me in my Facebook account. Okay, so don't hesitate to ask questions. So see you on our next meeting.